when this event happened, where did I go? I went to his church. I said, what do you need? How can we help? And so I think having partners on the ground and really not just being a high-level organization, but being an organization that's grassroots and making sure that you actually know the communities that you're serving, that you actually know people in those communities, and don't just talk about it, but be about it. So finding ways to come in and assess the damage and say, okay, John, what are your people seeing? I have family members that were affected. And so always thinking about the grassroots connections and relationships that gives you full access to what's happening locally, and then you can reach back into your resources and bring things in. But I think knowing where to go and making sure the resources are getting to the right people is the most important thing. I think what we've learned from the international is to stay ready. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Like, let's stay ready so that we are able to move in and get people what they need as soon as they need it. Because something's bound to happen. This is the world that we live in. So,
as it pertains to housing, there's a lot of concerns, right? And we're hearing about how fires are. There's got to be a balance, though, between having this cement fortress and having a house that people want to live in. So there's always going to be this give and take on how many changes should we be making to the process. We already have permits in to have some houses rebuilt. We need to be looking at doing things a little bit differently. Different doesn't mean bad. So what can we do to help the situation? Well, there's something that we call generational housing, whereas you can have a smaller house in a main house. Now, one of the big problems we have in Altadena is over 100 child care facilities were lost at the same time as the housing. A lot of families would love to have their parents look after them, but they can't because they're too far away. Here's a situation in which perhaps the parents don't need as big of a house as they did in the past. Perhaps they can have their own space, because we definitely need our own space from our kids. But at the same time, they can support each other, because in a number of years, we're going to want to support our parents so they can stay and age in place and not have to move them off the site. The cost for these are a fraction of the cost of what it costs to have a regular house built. 2 weeks after the fire, the price went up to $1,000 to $1,200 a square foot. That means if you're trying to rebuild a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, nothing fancy, 1,000 square feet, nothing fancy, that's $1 million. Our building costs are in the $350 to $400 range. So now you're looking at the cost of that same $1 million house down to $350,000. That is how nonprofits can link up together. So there's some basic stuff that doesn't cost a lot, which is making sure your vegetation is the appropriate vegetation for Southern California. When you're looking at a roof line and you see trapped areas underneath the roof, those are the eaves, that's where most of the fires go because embers get stuck underneath. You can seal them off. It takes minimal amount of money. It doesn't take away from the looks of the house in any way, shape, or form, but cuts down the fire risk. We're also building houses. Our newest versions are coming out with no attics, because once again, this is where most of the fires start. They come into the vents, they get trapped, it percolates, nobody knows about it until it's too late.
One of the things that we saw right away is we wanted to make sure that we had some type of fiscal management at the very, very beginning. The first 2 weeks, I think we can all agree, nobody really knew what to do. So as a church, the first thing that came to our minds was, how can we get to our people? And then the next question was, how can we get to the people? Because we didn't want it just to be about our church. So we actually formed a call center in the first week. And people were working every single day in this call center they were doing 12-hour days volunteer for days at a time. And so we had a zero database that turned into over 1,000 now. From there, then we started to reach out to network people with those needs to other people that have the resources. We want people to know that God is for them and not against them. He's for them, and he has a plan and a purpose for their lives. So to date, I think we've given almost 20 cars away. We've given lots of direct money and cash to people, right? Directly, right? Which has been a blessing. So just trying to fulfill the mission of really being the hands and feet of God and you as the two people.
Nonprofits at the end of the day are the core of the community because we are the community.
That's right.
We're not an outside group that's coming in and trying to do anything other than help people. So, and we all have different lanes, and this is where, as nonprofits, we all want to save the world, but we all realize that we have very limited resources at our disposal.
What faith-based communities can offer in times like this is trust that we have attained over time. I get the opportunity to speak to people every single week, every single Sunday, and also during the week and counsel. And I'm there at the hospital. I'm also there. So there's trust that has been built. So there's some things that that in the faith-based community that pastors can guide and influence people can do based upon trust that may have not been fostered by an organization. So if the organization then, like World Vision, wanted to get something to people, a pastor is a perfect place to go.
Well, World Vision is the largest Christian humanitarian organization in the world. We serve everybody. We love Jesus. We love people. We are always working through the local church and through other nonprofits and with other organizations. That's our job. So literally some of the things that are happening, we are creating hubs and pods, which are points of distribution all throughout the Pasadena-Altadena area through the local church and through other organizations, schools as well. And so we have these distributions set up so that the church is able to provide. Again, you may be at 10 different locations and never know that this is World Vision, because it's not our job to put our stamp or put our name on anything. It's our job to resource the local church to be the hands and feet of Jesus so that they can do the work. Being on the ground is the most important thing. I know Bryan, I have his phone number. I know John, and we have come together not to, hear about it, but to be about it. And so we spent no time, this is our community. We know these people. And so, this is the importance of nonprofits being in a space, because we can hear, we can assess, and then we can go get the resources. And I think that's been the biggest thing. I had a truck to them with things, air purifiers. I was sending trucks to churches and communities. Before the truck even got there, a church had burned down. We're sending a truck with resources to a church. It burns down. We're sending something to the next church. It burns down. Our response time was so quick because guess what? I knew these pastors. I knew these leaders, and I was able to reach out to them and start working with them immediately. So nonprofits, we are your friends. And we do value, everything that we hear on the ground. We assess it, take it back, and then send out the resources as needed.